All right. So again, we're back with Abraham. Thank you so much. We were talking before the break about your relationship with your father and how you were repairing that. So continue from where we left off.
I regarded my father truly as an honest individual, as one of the hardest working people that I've ever saw early on. And like my grandmother, my father also taught me a valuable lesson. And his way of teaching me was directly related to the life circumstances that I was in. And he stated that in order to be the master, you must be the slave.
Wow.
Like,
I've never heard that.
Okay, sure, but what does that even mean? But my father did go into detail. One thing that my father did very consistently with me was he took me on these long trips that he would go on from the village to the different towns. Like, I was almost like, when you saw my father, you saw me in a sense. And I thought that even though in his weakness within the village that he couldn't really step in to my aid when I was being mistreated, maybe by my stepmothers, I felt like he added to it, but I felt like his way of doing that was when he went on these short trips, he took me with him. And in that is how I saw the love that he had for me. Because being with him on those trips brought me closer to see him for the man that he is. And also being with him on these trips in this business trip that he was doing with important people, village people, town people, displayed the kind of influence that he had on people and how much people respected him. So I gained a tremendous amount of respect for him. And the lesson that he was teaching me was, I believe, as I grew, was to learn everything that you want to become from the ground up. And that there is nothing that you have that is built overnight. Life is not achievable overnight success. And that the best leaders were the best followers. If you have great leaders, they also know how to be great followers. It doesn't go the other way around. Because seldomly you have a great leader who doesn't have a humble beginning. And my father was teaching me that. And I think maybe as I was looking back to see really who my father was, I think deep down he saw my desire for success, for life, to be better than where I was. That would have been the reason why to let him to say something to me about, to be the master, you must first be the slave.
I have never heard that in my life, ever. But when you say that, there's something inside me that feels so true.
It is.
Because if you think about like thoughts, right, in our minds, right, we can be a slave to our own mind.
Correct.
And to master your mind, you have to understand what it's like to be a slave to it. Or, you know, I can see so many instances where we're slaves to whatever circumstances or whatever. That is, I have to process that a little bit because I've never heard that before. It's amazing.
It is a powerful messaging point for anyone who is trying to achieve anything in life, I believe, because delayed gratification is something I don't believe is practiced very well. We want instant gratification for life.
Yes.
And the important lessons was that, again, that's the lesson in patience. You know, delayed gratification teaches us how to be patient in life, how to work for the things that we desire in life, the how, the what, and now wait for the when.
Oh, that is so good. That's so good. Wait for the when.
Because that is not really up to you, but the when comes if you prepare. And it comes, you best take advantage of it then.
I'm having so many light bulbs right here, Brett. Okay, that is so valuable because we can control our actions. A lot of times we can't control the outcome.
No.
The outcome comes from the actions, but a lot of the times really quick story. I started building one of those little jars.
Uh-huh.
It's like a little jar kit for growing strawberries, right? And I was like, I'll give it a go. Let's try it. And they're like guaranteed to grow. So I'm like, cool, I won't fail and feel like I killed a plant. So I'm growing this little, I put my little, like I do all the things it says. I like moisten the soil and I put it in. And then I put the seeds in. And then you just have to like water it 2 times a day, make sure it has the sunlight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like sitting there waiting for this thing to like sprout and to like bud a little bit. And it's a lot of when is it gonna bud? When is it gonna bud? I can't control the when. It's gonna bud when it buds, right? But I just
true
have to,
story, true
I literally
facts.
just have to keep, okay, what's gonna make it bud?
Yes.
Watering and sunlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to keep doing that and believing and waiting, like you're saying, for that moment. And everything I've accomplished in my life, I could not control the when, but I could control the other outcomes.
Yes.
Oh, keep going. I just want to listen.
No, but that's a good insight, right? And so patience was learned through that process with my father. You know, so can I really look to my father as anything but good? Can I really look at my father as anything but kind? Can I really look to my father and honestly see a man that really didn't care for me, but that really hated me? No, I cannot.
I
would not.
That.
In the moment when it was happening, yeah, of course, you're going through it, you're thinking to yourself, God, this dude hate me. Like, as a matter of fact, on these trips, sometimes I will be, why am I walking all the time every day? Why can't you take some of my brothers? Why can't you take anyone with you to go on these trips?
Wow.
I'm the one walking like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles every time with you. Why? It's just like a punishment, right? That's how I saw it. But as the message started to resonate, as you're going through this is what he was really teaching me. Patience, win. And if you want to get someplace in life, learn from the people who are before you.
Yes.
Because they've already left the clue to your success.
Yes.
And his influence on people, you know, my father passed away. I wasn't able to go to his funeral. But there was some of 500 plus people at his funeral.
Wow.
So that showcased again what an influence that he was on people's life, which looking at my life today, I have to credit that to him, to my mother, to my grandmother. Those are the people that really influenced me, and I have traits, character from each and every one of them within me, you know, that I have now embodied to be mine, because they taught me lessons that I adhere to. They made no sense in the moment, no sense whatsoever. But as you listen, as you learn, and every lesson leads to an outcome that you're preparing for. My desire to not be in the village wasn't the how I have planned. I didn't hope that my mom would be passing away, my grandmother would pass away before I would leave this space, but that's what had to happen. And I stated that the day that my mom died, giving way for me to become the man that I've always wanted to be, was the day that my father also gave me my freedom to choose which life that I want to live. Because at that point in time, I was at a crossroad, and I was more than capable in a position to say yes or no to a life choice that I was making. And thanks to all the lessons that I learned from my father, prepared me for the next thing to come. Prepared me for the life before I came to America, for the life that once I got to America, and how to get forward. So all these things really prepared me for that.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that. So let's go back to the timeline. So at 16, you came to America because you were in the right place at the right time. What does that mean? What did that look like?
At 16 years old, my now father, who is my biological uncle, who is the brother of my mother, he's the older brother of my mother, had adopted me. And at this time, we have conflict going on in Liberia, another civil war. But he's newly married to now my stepmother. And through this marriage, I have another stepmother, become my extended family. And previously I had 3 stepmothers. I just cannot get rid of the steps, right? So I guess my life was really designed and dedicated for me to go through this stream of life of experiencing different nurturing system and style of growing and nurturing a child, so that I can really have the full picture of life.
Yeah.
And fast forward, the Civil War comes in. My father now is not in a good grace with the government of Liberia at this time. So fortunately, my long-lived dream of being in America come through, because now my stepmother has just now been married to my father. She was in Liberia. My dad was now here. And she took me out of a very dire situation where the house that we were living in was a target for the government. So at her request and the request of her mother, who is also now my step-grandmother, I moved to live with them.
In America?
No, first in Liberia, at their house. Right. So she asked my dad, hey, I don't think the situation is dire for Abraham to be at that house. You should move. So she took me in. I lived with her family, and I had no idea that this family was prepared to move to America. I had no clue whatsoever. And it was one afternoon at the house. And, you know, for me, again, my father taught me to be the master, you must learn to be the slave. When I moved into the house of my stepmother, I did not pretend or treat it like anything other than I was here to serve.
Wow.
I did everything that I always did in every life situation that I've been through. That is, do what is necessary, even though it is not an expectation of yours to do.
I love that.
If it's dishes, wash the dishes. If you see something that needs to get done, do it.
Yeah.
You know, this was not my home. This is not my biological family. They've chosen to take me in. That's as much as they can do. They've given me the opportunity to see another perspective in life. So I did everything that I would do as a housekeeper would: clean dishes, draw the water from the well, and help the upkeep of the yard, and anything that was needed I would do. So one afternoon, now my grandmother, my stepmother mom, she came down behind the yard, and I was there drawing water from the well, and she asked me a question. She's like, what's your relationship with Benedict? That's my father's name. I said, well, he is my uncle, but by way of biology, and that's my mom's brother. She's like, oh, so you Masa is my mother's name. So you're Masa's son, you're the little sister. I said, yes. Okay. That was the extent of my conversation with her. I had no idea what this conversation was leading to. But then, to my surprise, she had left that conversation, came and talked to my stepmother and said, hey, you know, we're going to America. I don't feel good. All of us leaving, and now one of this man family is coming with us. And I was that one man family.
Wow.
So she petitioned for me to apply for my visa. And of course, my dad/uncle was grateful for this. He said, yes, of course, we will pay for Abraham's ticket if we can get him a visa. So my stepmother and her mom went ahead and put in for my visa to the American embassy. And blessings comes, and it comes in full steam. You have to be prepared for the wind. So when this opportunity had come, I've never been to an interview. I didn't even know what the American embassy looks like. It was my first time, but I had a dream that I would go to America. So they gave me the news that, hey, we're going to try to get you a visa so you can go to America. I was like, what?
Yeah.
How? And so my sister now here, who's and you know, relationship, and this is my little niece on my phone. I carry this picture all the way around because of the bond that my sister and I have. And she's not my biological sister, but she's more than a sister I can hope for.
Wow.
And I remember before we went to the embassy for our interview, she prepared me night after night, preparing me for all the questions I would ask that would come through, hoping that I would pass this interview. And in that moment, I saw someone that truly cared for me. That's truly, you know, I don't get emotional about the things that I've already dealt with, the dark moment, but the things that are before me now, when I look to the people who have been in my life, in those impactful moments that Marife has been, it's moments like that showcase that love truly does exist. She had no need to help me in this moment, but she took it upon herself to prepare me, and so did my stepmother, and they did it in their own way, but it was, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
This is your one chance.
Right.
I have dreamed this. And nights of preparation led to one question in the embassy. You know, I sat in the chair across from the counselor. He asked me the one question, why do you want to go to America? My answer, I want a better life for myself. My father has taught me to be patient. He has taught me that to be the master, you must learn to be the slave. His message is resonating with me because everything that he was teaching me now, I was seeing the fruits of that. My patience, my dedication to service, to serving, to doing the things that may have not been expected of me, but I was yet doing it, has led me to this discovery that bought my ticket to America. And the rest was up to me. The opportunity has been given. I has been granted that opportunity. What I did from that point on forward is entirely up to me. And to this point, coming to the US, 1 year later, you know, I rebel again because I've always been a stubborn child. I've never conformed to anything that people wanted me to do. I've always followed my instincts. And when I thought that it was time for me to make the next decision that was beneficial to me, but yet it would be extended to other people around it within my own family, I did it, just that. So once I got to the US, my family and I, we had a little conflict again. This time they're looking out for my best interest. They wanted me to focus on school. I was going to focus on school. It was my desire. I wanted to get my education, but extracurricular activity wasn't part of the ticket. So like playing soccer, maybe music, being part of the Future Business City of America Club in high school was not a thing. You know, it wasn't part of the ticket. Go to school, come home, study, and help with the house chore. I think at this point I chose that I wasn't going to do that. And so after 1 year of living in the US with my family, I was again on my own. I moved out of the house, put myself through high school, through college, and
so if I'm understanding your story, so your adopted family that brought you to America, you lived with them, they required you to do school, come home, chores, homework, done. No extracurriculars.
No extracurriculars.
And that was there created tension there, and you were like, no, like I'm gonna do my extracurriculars.
Right. And then there again, that was their desire for me to succeed.
Right.
And they thought, I have been given this great opportunity that many are not.
Yeah.
If I didn't get my education, it was going to be a waste.
And so they thought the extracurriculars would deviate from
my ability to accomplish my education. My ability to get a good grade in school.
Yeah.
Which within myself, I knew it wouldn't.
And you knew that decision, and so then from there, you stayed with them for how long until
you
decided?
1 year.
So you stayed with them for a year, and then you decided to leave.
Yes.
And do your own thing.
Yes.
Wow. How old were you when you decided that?
17 and a half.
So you did your 16th year with them, and then 17, you're like, I'm done.
I was gone.
I gotta go because I want to do my extracurriculars.
Yeah, because again, also like you can see you can see situation unfolding that is either favorable or not favorable to you.
Yeah.
And I always go with the favorable decision that benefits me because the outcome is going to be so much more for the people with whom I'm with and that desire good for and that desire the best for me.
I love that so much because if you had lied to yourself essentially and said, oh, I'll just do what they're telling me, even though deep down I know this isn't what I desire.
Be miserable.
You would have showed up really resentfully.
Of course.
That would have festered something that isn't who you are, and so you were being totally authentic even then.
And none of this happened if I had followed those plans.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
that would be me abandoning my own creation, the desires of my heart, of what I desired to do, the burning desires that I really truly own to myself to see through.
Yeah.
No matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets.
Yeah. How hard was it for you? What was that conversation like when you were like, were you kind of like in a teenage angst, like, I'm leaving, I'm done, like I can't do this anymore? Or was it more peaceful? Like, how did you handle that as a 17-year-old?
Other than watching my grandmother walk away and never seeing her again, and saying goodbye to my father at 13 years old when he actually disowned me.
For choosing to be with your uncle.
Correct. This was the next hardest decision for me, because this was my dream come true. And this is a family that I've made it possible for me.
Yeah.
And here I am making another decision yet again to say no to your ways, to your style. I can do all of these things. You don't trust that I can. I know that I can.
Wow.
So if you don't see the light that I see, the future that I see for myself is up to me. And I hope someday if I have kids, I'm able to do the same, to exert the same discipline and restraint, to know when they are truly going after the desires of their heart and when they are following my counsel alone. I will hope that they take both hand in hand, taking my counsel and using it to their advantage to follow the desires of their heart.
Yeah.
And making it their reality and not mine.
That's such a good thing to consider when you're parenting. Letting them live their beautiful life in its authentic way.
Right.
But also you're the parent and you have to kind of guide them and make sure they don't self-destruct, really. I'm constantly my 20-month-old, I'm trying to like, don't kill yourself. Let's make you alive, okay? Please don't grab the knife, okay? That's dangerous. So that's beautiful. So, okay, so you moved out, you're on your own, you graduated high school, and then what?
Then I reunite again with my family, and I haven't spoken to my stepmother now and my father for 3 years since I left.
They came to your graduation?
They did.
Oh, good.
But we haven't spoken for 3 years, and for me, it was a proud day in my life because
so you were 20 years old when you graduated high school?
I was older than my classmates.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Because it kind of makes sense. I started going to school when I was 11 years old.
Right.
So I didn't start. So there was a huge gap.
Right. Well, wow. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So 3 years later, graduate high school, you reunite with them.
And I sent a letter to my family and I let them know I was graduating and where the ceremony was going to be held. And that I am graduating honor in my class with honor. So my dad flew in from Liberia to come and witness my graduation.
Your biological father?
No.
Your adoptive father?
My adoptive father, who was my uncle, who's now the most influential person in my life. So I knew that he would come. I just didn't know he would be there that day at that graduation. But I kept hope alive that he would.
Yeah.
And he showed up. My mom shows up. My little sister showed up right on time. When it mattered most, because I would tell you honestly, in that line, as I was going through that line, I was beginning to see again another moment. Here I am going through all of this, achieve all of this, and I don't have a single family member there.
Oh God, yeah.
And here comes up the hill. Here's my father. Wow. Here's my mom. Here's my sister. All three of them. The joy that filled me in that moment, yet again, brought light and truth to the understanding that love wins, and where there is peace, there will be love. And if you have darkness and hate within you, you cannot achieve those things.
Absolutely.
So for me, the purity by which I have lived my life, the decision by which I have lived consistently making these choices, because they were not selfish decisions that I was making. I didn't see them as such. I saw them as a very selfless choices that I was making because it was in the interest of everyone who cared for me, including myself, who cared for myself the best, right? And time after time, they proved to be leading to a result that was influential and beneficial to everyone. So my family showed up. That was a good time again to reunite with them. And I think after that time, I really started to say, okay, you know what? This is a great family. We need to work on our differences and mend our bridges.
Wow.
so that there can be unity within our family.
Yeah.
Because from 6 years when I witnessed from my grandmother and my father interaction, from that point on, just been a lot of broken pieces that I wished weren't there.
Yeah.
You know, and I made it my responsibility to, at least from my end, mend those bridges.
Beautiful. That's so, there's so much to unpack there. But I want to keep going on your life journey. Tell me really quick, what was that interaction like? Was it a warm embrace? Was it kind of like hesitation? Like, oh, you're here. Do I hug you?
It was a very warm embrace, because the final word that I've said to my father before I left the house was, from my end at least, he asked me the question, what do I want? I said, I honestly just want to be happy. You know, I just want to have peace. My father is not known to be speechless, but in that moment, we were driving together. He didn't say anything. It was on Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring. My father didn't say another word to me, except on that graduation day, he told me how proud he was of me. And he invited me to come back home.
Oh my God.
And I did come back home, and I stayed home for a year going to college. But then ultimately I realized that it was just too out of place for where I was, and I needed to leave to continue to pursue on my own what I want. But in this time when I was leaving, it was not in this way I left at first.
Right.
You know, this time was so I can pursue a higher purpose for myself, but also keep the relationship. And from that point, we kind of had a good, solid relationship going. Although they didn't understand my dancing when I made a choice to dance.
You're like, that was another
battle. That's a topic for another. That's we're gonna get into that. Yeah. But they really didn't understand. After now 1 year graduating college from high school, starting my college education, staying home, things are going well. And then I'm like, yeah, by the way, I'm gonna take on dancing. What?
You're probably like, what? Like,
what?
So shocked. Yeah.
You're gonna take on what now? Dancing? What the heck is wrong with you? And that was kind of like what I was meant by, but that's something to be discussed next.